That's awesome. That's the first thing someone will hear on this show. When they come and watch it, they're going to be like,
I don't know.
one of the bid nerds going, by the way, I don't know anything about these cars. And that's fine.
What's an H? What's an
Oh
HZ?
my God.
Get those words!
There it is, guys. It's the beginning of the show. It's Bid Nerds for Thursday. How are you guys? Boy, the technical challenges already. Starting off the day on a Thursday with the Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day on Cars and Bids. Bring a Trailer, PCAR, Market, Hemmings, Rad For Sale, and whoever else has an auction site. Everyone asks me, why do I list all of the auction sites at the beginning? Why not just say auto enthusiast auction sites? And it's because we're trying to get the YouTube algorithm listening machine to understand what the heck it is that this show is. We haven't quite figured it out, and the algorithm sure hasn't, and so we're trying to help it along. It likes those keywords. Good morning, Michael Deeb. How are you?
It's draft day, dude. Check it out. 49ers are going to get themselves a new quarterback, and I hope it's Trey Lance from North Dakota.
Snap, we're talking sports ball.
Football.
All right.
Football. Look at that, man. They play with a ball.
All right, John Polnik, that's
good.
me
They're-
over here.
They're good at throwing stuff.
Sports balls are, I'm sure, terribly, terribly exciting for all the people who give to, so we're really, really, really trying not to swear on this show. And it is a challenge, especially when my partner starts out with stupid football stuff.
Balls.
So we're going to move right along from that and wish him good luck with that. And let me tell you, I am excited about today's cars because, as you may have heard before the prompt, if you're not watching this live and you watch this, you see the whole header before we get the green light. So you hear all our back chatter going, we don't know anything about these cars. And you might think watching that going, oh, wow, I just got some insight into just how big a bunch of losers these two guys are and how much they really don't prepare. And I'd be like, no, that's pretty much par for the course. We don't really prepare anything. We really don't know anything. And don't take our advice except for what? Subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. That's the only thing you should listen to us when it comes to advice.
Our lack of knowledge and preparation is not insider information. That's our brand.
Yeah. Go ask our friends at PCAR Market. They'll be happy to tell you.
Yeah.
And so will their children and interns. All right. So what we do on this show is we, aside from making fun of some of the people at the lesser auction platforms, which really is our favorite thing to do. What we like to do is we nerd out about the most interesting cars of the day on all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. There's hundreds of cars going on the auction block today. The hammer will hit the sound block, and those auctions will end this afternoon. We have some of them like within the same time of our show. These auctions are ending, so we pick the most interesting ones, so you don't have to dig through them all and figure out what's the most interesting car today. We do that all for you, and then we make predictions about what we think the cars will actually sell for when that hammer hits the sound block, and that's where the interesting part happens, because we don't just throw predictions out there and throw them into the wind and say, oh, well, there it is, it's out there. We go ahead and check ourselves. The first thing we do is we go back and we look at our predictions from the day before and see just how wrong we were, and let me tell you... that's pretty wrong. So let's go ahead and look at our predictions from yesterday and see how we did.
It's funny, JP. You were saying how some of the auctions closed almost while we're doing the show. Cars and Bids, Demiro sites, has some of the earliest closes of any of the major sites. And occasionally we pick a car that's one of his early closers. And yesterday we barely got the 1993 300 DX. That car had like 5 minutes and counting. We finally got to fourth on our list of cars to do yesterday. That was actually pretty funny. That car closed by the time the auction was. By the time our show was done, that auction had closed. I had said 19. You said 17, and that car actually sold for a whopping $22,000.
Nice.
And I don't know if you remember, I sent you. There was another listing. I think on Hemmings or something. They had a 300 DX twin turbo. And that car sold for like $48,000 with low miles and excellent condition, similar to this 300Z convertible. So I had asked you in that email, do we think Zs are on the move? And you know, we've covered a few. They look like a little bright spot that gaining some traction, at least the nice ones.
20,000 plus on Doug DeMiro's site for this car. That's a big deal. I mean,
right?
Yeah. So the answer is unequivocally yes. The prices are on the rise on these for sure. Are prices on the rise on everything? I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made there that you know, is there an inflationary push? What, you know, I know that if you talk to anyone in the car business right now, they're telling you, look, all used cars are hard to come by because the manufacturers don't even have enough cars to sell because they stopped production for so long this last year, and now they're just getting back up to speed, and there's shortages on chips, on computer chips for manufacturing. There's shortages on rubber. There's shortages on all kinds of stuff. And so that's really driving used car prices. But it's odd because you wouldn't necessarily expect that to drive enthusiast car prices because, all right, I mean, a 300ZX from 1993 is not something you buy as an alternative to the, you know, Nissan Rogue that you were going to get that now you can't because it's not available. I don't quite get how the correlation goes together, but maybe it's just straight up inflation. But do you have an opinion on that?
I agree with you. It's hard to see how you know, one problem area that's creating demand would affect another one. You know, again, this is a second car for 99% of the buyers of 300ZX. But you know, you have often said on the show, the tide rises all ships, right? Yeah. So I don't know. If that's the case, it's hard to draw that distinct line to correlate one to the other. But for sure, the secondary market for enthusiast cars has been going up. And we've seen now a few nice 300Zs from that era bring some really respectable money. So if you want one, now's the time to get one. Is if they continue to go, they will quickly be maybe not affordable. Yep. I mean, they're right there. They're a great deal right now, even at the premium prices they're getting. Yeah. So get yours while you can.
Well, I don't know. Talking about a great deal, this 19,000 mile Acura NSX, that was our big car of the day yesterday. What happened there?
It was, yeah. Boy, I can't. I mean, I really can't explain it to you. What I said to you on the show was that a 19,000 mile Denardi should bring somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000. And so I said 175, and you guessed 200. The thing was, on this car, it had a front end collision with another motor vehicle early in its life, and it's on the Carfax, and that is on the listing with Bring a Trailer. So I suspected that blemish might hold this car back. And you have been arguing that those remarks on the Carfax mean less and less. I don't think they've been completely exonerated from existence or public perception. I agree with you that it's getting better. But in this case, that's the only fly in the ointment from this being a really good car. And it's interesting to see that the reserve was set at somewhere near $150,000 because our car sold yesterday for $154,006. So that's an interesting reserve and an interesting sale price. I think that's a tremendous value at that number.
Where did we come up with a $250,000? Did you find comps on these? And how long ago?
Yes, there are comps. Yeah. So there's a kid named Sterling Saki. His father was big in the Ferrari market in California, and he started a website called Sterling Saki Cars, and he's been selling Japanese cars. So he's offered a couple of Denardis at around $200,000. And then there was Miguel Hamel, a famous motorcycle racer for Honda, at the same time Zanardi was racing. Mm-hmm. He gave him a Zanardi. He was living in Las Vegas, and he sold it out of Las Vegas on one of the websites, and his car brought $240,000.
Wouldn't that be because of him?
But his car also had a bad Carfax.
Yeah, but I suspect people are buying off of his name, and I got to wonder about those the other ones you mentioned. Those are just asking prices. I wonder what those actually sold for. You know, you can never base what cars are worth based on what people put them up for sale in a classified ad, because I mean, you know, we've seen over the last 2 years as Porsches have basically been kind of soft compared to the prior 2 years. People are still we're still pricing them way up high high where they used to be, and now the prices are coming back up, and you're kind of those two cross sections are meeting, but it's really common for people to hear, oh, cars are expensive, and then they go ask ridiculous prices, and then someone goes, how much are one of these cars worth? And they look at ads and, oh, that's crazy. Oh, I guess that's how much they're worth, and it's really not. So what people ask and what people actually
I agree.
sell for
I absolutely agree. I think Sterling Saki's got a little niche in the market with his using his father's name and only representing really nice cars. He's only ever got 2 or 3 cars available at any given time, and he's tripped about 3 or 4 Zenardi's. And then we've seen 2 that have broken $200,000. I think in the auctions, you and I started doing the show. I watched the Zenardi's because I wanted one so desperately many years ago when they were still under $100,000. But they're affordable. This is the most expensive NSX there is a Zenardi. Yeah. So anyway, really cool car.
Really cool car. Yeah.
Very good number. Yeah, very good number. Well bought. And congratulations to the seller. You sold the car with a bad Carfax for $100,000. So I still think that's well done.
Blemish on the Carfax, not a bad Carfax. Let's get that clear.
All right. Cool.
Bad Carfax equals salvage title or theft recovery or something. This one just has an accident on it. So
why don't we agree why don't we agree that a bad Carfax is one with a lot of misspelling errors and punctuation mistakes?
That's any document I make. So every document I create is a bad document. So I will agree with that assessment. All right, what else did we talk about yesterday? We had some other cars.
Henry's had a really low mile 1992 Mitsubishi Eclipse GST. You remember this from high school and college. This car might break 16,000, and you thought 14,000. Yeah, I drove by one on my way on the freeway every day. And then this car actually sold for $16,800.
Wow!
So congratulations to him and selling a Japanese car for $17,000. That was sticker price when the car was brand new. So there you go.
Yeah, that is a pure nostalgia buy because there's nothing else valuable when it comes to that car.
It didn't have a turbo, but there's really no performance redeeming quality to that car.
Yeah. Garbage. Okay.
All right. Another shocking result. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. PCAR market has 1977 Porsche 911 Targa 3-liter with the early version of the M491 package. It was called 451. And they might only have made one of these in 1977. The car's incredible. 30,000 kilometers equates to about 18,000 miles. The car looked to be in spectacular condition with some period-correct graphics, the Turbo Carrera wheel spoiler, and then it even had the corduroy pinstripe interior seats, which you and I both agree are really cool on a G-body. I suspected that this car should go for at least $190,000, but I also thought that it might not sell at the price. We both wondered if PCAR market was the correct platform for such an unusual Porsche. You took a safe bet underneath me, 185. Our car stalled out on PCAR market, was only bid to $157,000, where it failed to meet its reserve. And then a few minutes later, it showed up on PCAR Market's deal tent at $190,000, proving that I thought, that you and I are correct, that this is roughly a $200,000 car. That reserve sort of reflects that. So the bid goes on the deal tank on PCAR Market. If you still want this car, it can't be had for less than $2,000. There it is.
Would this car have made reserve on BAT? That's the question.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, absolutely.
PCAR market is just way too risky. You know what? PCAR market seem, if you have a 2007 Carrera 2S 997 with 25,000 miles on it, whatever, and it's in New Jersey, that's PCAR market's your place. Because for some reason they just get all the money for kind of the low end water pumpers. But anything special? Oh boy, I really reconsider. I know that people like the big draw to PCAR market is that you can get your car on the market very quickly. You don't have to wait weeks.
Day they'll push it live while you're talking to them on the phone, and you can pick your reserve. What do you want the reserve on your SE Targa? $300,000. They're like, no problem.
They want to sell the Porsches. Yeah.
The Porsches. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just be careful over there, guys. They're nice enough fellas, but I mean, speaking from experience, having sold a car on their platform that just really it was a failure. It was an abject failure. I had better offers on the car on Renlist. I could have sold it more, just basically listing it on an obscure classified. And I did have offers that I turned down because I was like, I'm going to try this PCAR market thing, and woo, boy, did that leave money on the table? Wow. So be careful out there, guys, when you're choosing what platform to put your car on. It's a big decision, and we don't work for any of these platforms. Full disclosure, we are very good friends with the people at Rad For Sale, and honestly, they don't sell very many cars. And so I would even being very good friends with those guys, I would caution you to say, all right, Rad For Sale actually has been bringing some pretty good money, but they just don't have a track record. They're still working out their bugs, and I think potentially they've got a really good audience. If you fit right in their niche, you're going to nail it. But if you're not right in there, maybe another direction might be. BAT always seems like the way to go, even though you have to wait. What do you think, Deeb?
Well, I think that Rad For Sale is in their infancy. This spring and summer are their honeymoon, and they all eyes are on them. But I agree with you that you have to take the nostalgia of their platform and brand and sell your car ironically. Play up the idea that it's rad, that it's 80s and 90s. If you just treat them like another, classified or auction platform, you will miss the point and you will miss the mark. So you really have to have a little bit of fun with that and write copy, maybe add prop, enjoy it, have a little fun with it, because that's what their brand is all about. And if you can do that, I think you're gonna be great. A white car with white wheels would do really well on Rad For Sale.
Well, and remember, you said add copy. You don't write the ad copy. All you're doing is filling in blanks. It is their job to write the ad copy. So if you're thinking of like maybe going, maybe I want to try them out, Don't have anxiety on the idea that you have to write some brilliant ad. That's not your job. The great thing about and that's with all these platforms really, is your job is to when you decide to sell one of your cars, Michael, you just went through this because and I won't reveal what you're selling, but you go on their site, you click sell the car, and they just have all these fields, and you just fill out the information. How many miles? How much maintenance has it had? Blah, 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 blah. You just fill in the blanks, and they have a professional copywriter, a writer on staff that will take all the information that you've given them, and they will write a favorable ad with copy that is supposed to be flattering to that car and hopefully get you the most money. That's their job. That's what they should be doing. Yeah. And that's where I question places like PCAR, because how quickly can they really write ad copy that's any good? To be able to bust out ad copy in 20 minutes means, how much time did you guys really think about this? And I read their copy sometimes and I'm just like, man, you guys really missed the boat, but whatever.
I agree, and I think Bring a Trailer's doing that too. Bring a Trailer's hired a bunch more copywriters, and they pay them $100 to write a copy for a particular listing, and it's just a flat fee. And you just wonder who's editing this stuff, who has final say, because you and I have seen some ads in the last couple of weeks that really struggled to highlight the special points of a particular car that we can see looking at the photos. They're not pushing as the main point that you would want that car. It sets that car apart from all the others in the marketplace. And that's what writing copy is about.
Yeah, BAT made this whole, this whole vertical, this whole stack, this way of selling cars came from BAT. And what made them so popular was how much attention to the detail they were paying back in the early days when they weren't doing 100 cars a day, when they were doing 3 or 4 or 10 or whatever, and they could take the time. Now it's like, all right, well, it's this big juggernaut, and how can they keep track?
And they used to turn all the crap away.
Yeah. They used to only allow hot chicks in, and now it's the doors are open and all the marginal girls.
Bridge and Trundle crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Studio 54 is now just a T-shirt.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, all right, guys. So there it is.
One last car.
Oh, did we have another car
One
from
last car.
yesterday? Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot.
the 85 Porsche 944, that little black car. That car's sweet. You would have bought that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I said 19. You said 18. It sold for 19.5. Our final car of the day did well and brought the money on PCAR market. So that's a bright spot for them yesterday that they got market value of that car. So I feel like the consignor got lucky.
For sure. Yes, I definitely would have been a contender on that car had it not been from Florida. Even though the car did not look like it was from Florida. Usually when you look at the close-ups on Florida cars, they're usually like you see all the adhesives just kind of coming undone. But this car looks like it was really, really put together and stayed together, and would love to have owned it, but it was too far away. Who wants to do a road trip from Florida? That's a long. That's a long drive from Florida. That's a lot of straightaways. All right.
I'd volunteer to go with you, but I'm not sure you'd want me there.
Stinky. All right, let's get on to today's cars. We've got some amazing cars. While we're queuing up today's cars, make sure you hit the subscribe, like, and notification button. When we do this show Monday through Friday at the 9 o'clock hour, it is on live. So if you have the notification button clicked, you will get a notification that we are going on live, and you can watch us live. If you don't click on that notification button, then you got to come back to our channel a little later and try to find our show. And sometimes YouTube does not populate the show on our channel for hours until hours later. So it's a little bit annoying. So we really encourage you to hit that notification button so you know when you get the freshest nerds.
Yeah, subscribe notification is the cheat code to get direct access. You can have us basically on demand instantaneously. That's the way to do it.
And then make sure you go back and watch all the old episodes. There's tons of them. Tons and tons and tons of old bid nerds. Yeah. That's just what everybody wants to do is watch some old stale bid nerds.
Just watch the freshest bid nerds and then just keep binging Porsche Road Trip. You'll be fine.
Much better plan. Do that. Porsche Road Trip on Pluto TV. Check it out in the Cars category and coming soon on the Chassis Network. That's Adam Carolla's network. All right, let's get to today's cars. We've got a couple of big turbos. It's the battle of the turbos today. Take your pick as to which one you want to start with, because it's turbo versus turbo. Which turbo do we start?
We'll start with the 996 because our good friend Mike Myers, a.k.a. Buddha from Las Vegas, by way of Spartanburg, South Carolina. There you go. How's that for a shout out to our most wonderful friend from the South, huge fan of Clemson, and his quarterback's going to go first in the draft. But he said, Deeb, you and JP have to look at this 911 Turbo X50 6-speed. Now, initially, when he submitted it with the caveat that he thought this might be the first 996 Turbo to break $100,000 in the true secondary market. In other words, it's not a hermetically sealed or driven car. This car has 37,000 miles out of Phoenix, Arizona. It is bestowed with beautiful Grand Prix white paint, which is rare in 996s, and the venerable X50 package mated with a 6-speed manual. It also has the Porsche Turbo Aero kit, and it has the technology wheels. So this car basically ticks every box as far as having all the cool pieces to make it a great driver's car. But as you peruse through the listing, it is disclosed that this car at one time in its life was a theft recovery. And so for that reason, kind of like a failure to launch, like nobody really thinks, at least Buddha doesn't think, that this car will actually break 100 grand now that has been disclosed and we kind of discovered that, sort of combed through the listing. But if you get by that, if that doesn't bother you, and it wouldn't bother me here on this car, there's a lot to like here. Like I said, the Aero package is rare. The X50 package is rare. Having an X50 with the 6-speed is basically a poor man's GT2. And we rarely see 996 turbos in white for whatever reason. By the time we rolled into 997s, GT3s and turbos in white were super commonplace. But in the 996 era, I would say white is one of the rarer colors, despite it being an ordinary shade that was offered on every one of the models. This one looks to be in spectacular condition. You're essentially getting here is the X50 package boosts your Metzger 3.6-liter turbo up to about 444, and then you get a similar like 450 or 460 pound-foot of torque. And you have all-wheel drive. The GT2s were rear-wheel drive and did not have anti-slip and all that sort of thing, you could really lose control of the car. And they were true widowmakers. But this car with all-wheel drive means you can go out and blast that motor and you're still going to be pretty safe and sound. And these cars handle really well, and everything in them works. You get past the sticky buttons, you've got yourself a really nice car. 996 turbos were super cheap, and we have watched them in the last few years now return to market value. So the headlights are no longer the issue here. These cars are selling for real money. Our car, JP, has about 4 hours to go out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's sitting at $69,000. You get an incredible 996 turbo, which means fantastic driving car, something you will enjoy. It's going to hold its value, I think, really, really well. And the guy who owned this car, or one of its previous owners, has put Bilstein PSS9 coilovers and H&R sway bars. I would say this is as fantastic a driving car as you could hope to imagine. This is a real 997 GT3 beater with the suspension and the X50 and the seats. I mean, if you don't want to pay $150,000 for a 997 GT3 or GT3 RS or GT3 2 or whatever, this would be your value add. You could go compete on your favorite track day. I can't say enough nice things about it. I love the way it looks, and I would want to own this car. Here you go. It's all yours.
Yeah, boy. You need another 10 minutes because
I would go on and on.
Go on and on and on about this one. You and I test drove that black one about a year ago. I sure wish I bought it. This car.
That's right.
I want to talk, as usual, about the stupid blemish. Are we saying, because I think it's really important, Deeb, that we got to be careful when we say stuff like this. When we say theft recovery, does that mean that this is a theft recovery title, or are they saying that it was somewhere in its history, it was reported stolen and then recovered, and it's not a theft recovery on the title? Because that's
correct.
Huge. Because like a lot of times what happens is like the car will be reported stolen because a nephew will take the car, or someone will forget where they park it, or whatever. There's all kinds of reasons. Oh man, this one of these guys, we were watching a driving video and he's leaving his hand on the shift lever. Dude, look, if you're going to try to sell your stupid Porsche, don't do that. Stop, people. Learn how to hold on to your steering wheel, shift, then put your hand back on the steering wheel. Shift, hand back on the steering wheel. God. Do not be the guy who leaves your hand on the shift lever. All right. Boy, talk about a huge pet peeve. It just makes you look like such a tool, especially if you're making a video and then the underhand turn going around the corner. What are you, a soccer mom, dude? Are you going to Costco or something like that? Oh, yeah, he's rolling through the gears. Got to keep that hand on the shift lever. Oh, yeah, he's stopping. He's rolling through the gears. He's so cool. What a dork. I wanted this car. Now I don't want it at all because I hate the guy who's selling it. That guy is a tool shed. Someone please liberate this car from this complete moron that doesn't know how to drive it. Okay, so this car does not have a theft recovery title. For the record, this car has a clean title. This car has a clean title. Let me repeat that a third time. This car has a clean title. It's just that it was reported stolen at some point. We don't know for sure if it actually was stolen.
Like I said, it's only on Carfax that while the car was living in the Bay Area in 2005, on March 22nd, the vehicle was reported stolen. On March 27th, the vehicle was recovered after theft. That is only on the Carfax. This is not a branded title situation.
Okay.
So there you go. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and will that affect the value? Yeah, I think it could affect the value about the same amount, I think, as an accident on the Carfax as opposed to a salvage on the Carfax. So if a Carfax says that the car has had an accident and it was repaired correctly, okay, fine, that's probably going to affect the value, but not drastically. If the car was salvaged and was sent to an insurance auction, that means the title would be branded, and that drastically affects the title. If you have a branded title, the car's worth about half what it should be worth retail. This is not that situation, and I'm getting ticked off when we keep hearing about these types of things and it gets thrown out there as if they're the same thing. We have to differentiate the two because I think it's doing the car a disservice and it's doing the seller a disservice. And not that I care about this particular seller because he's a jerk, because he's doesn't know how to drive his car. So if anyone we want to disparage, it's this particular guy. No, liberate this car. Is this going to be a value? Is this going to break the 100, or where's it going to land? What do you think?
No, it's not. And I think that's the only reason why. I mean, this car is absolutely stunning, and we never see 9.6 turbos in white. I would think somebody would pay a premium for that, and somebody may. But it's like one step forward, two step back when you look at the Carfax. And that's the age we live in. Like we could fight a good fight and say that shouldn't hold it back. But I agree with Buddha that this would have been perilously close to a $100,000 car had it been given a chance with nothing holding it back. And that Carfax is going to deter some buyers, whether we think that's just or not. So while our car is sitting at $70,000, I think it's got a good chance to run up to the 80s. But if that thing wasn't there, you'd easily be looking at 90, 95, maybe even $100,000 for this used 996 turbo with the X50 and the Aero and technology wheels and white paint and the sportback seats and those cool mods, Miltech exhaust, H&R sway bars.
No, we get it. It's got all the cool stuff. This car is amazing, but even if it didn't have that problem, you're still, even if it didn't have all that stuff, and even if it didn't have the Carfax issue, I think the fact that this car is at, what is it right now? It's at $69,000. That's all the money. That proves right there that the Carfax thing doesn't matter, because $70,000 is all the money for a 996. I don't care what color it is. A 996 X50 Turbo should be about a $70-something thousand car. And I think you'll probably agree with me that this thing probably has another $10,000 to $20,000 to go before it closes, which means the Carfax did not matter. This is not a $100,000 car. There's too many other Porsches out there that you could get a turbo 997 for $100 or less. There's no way this is a $100,000 car, even if it had a perfect Carfax, even at this miles. Just this crazy. Show me another one. This hasn't happened yet.
Well, but we haven't seen one that has Aero and technology and white and X50 and manual and sportback seats. So that's why I think this. I agree with Buddha, and that's why I thought this would be a great cover, because I think the car would have had a really good chance to at least perilously close, and it may still. In any case, I think the car will reach $85,000, and I agree with you. That is all the money, but this is a really special one, and if you get it for $85,000, I think you got yourself a pickle.
Yeah, I mean, that puts me in a pickle because I'm kind of arguing against myself. Well, in two ways. One, it's funny to me because you're saying 85,000. To me, that's agreeing that the Carfax issue does not matter, because $85,000 for a 996 turbo is nuts. I don't care what it has on it. I mean, unless it's a GT2. A GT2, you and I were arguing about a GT2 just a couple of months ago. Now, granted, that particular GT2 is a race car and it has a bunch of blemishes against it, but it's a GT2. Right. And that one we were going, I don't know if that one's going to make $80,000. It's kind of crazy. But now I think the way the market is, that GT2 could break 100. But a non-GT2, even with X50 color and all the fun stuff and low miles, I mean, we got to hand it that it's got very low miles, so that's a big, I think that's the biggest plus. So am I going to go over 85 or under 85? You kind of took my number because I think 85,000 is all the money for a 996. Will it bring more than that? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say 84,000 and say that is all the money and the Carfax didn't matter. You're going to say that if you win and it gets to $89,000, you're going to see, I won. The Carfax means that it would have gone to 100. And the fact is, that's why you watch the Bid Nerds, because two jerks are just arguing over stuff that we can't prove. But one of us is right and one of us is wrong, and it's usually me. Of course, the numbers on the numbers on the books don't really, not the last 2 weeks, man. I'm getting my butt handed to me. All right, so let's move on. I'm with you though, Deeb. Carfax aside, I love that car and that colorway with all the options that you listed, is awesome, especially with PSS 9s. Holy cow, that's just the greatest car.
So our friend Yuri is trying to help a colleague of his sell this white 996 GT2.
Yeah,
that has been a track car. It's got canards on the front end. There's no carpets. They've got a weld-in roll bar, aftermarket wheels, aftermarket brake discs. I mean, it's clearly just a track toy. Somebody's just gone out and bailed on it. So whatever, let's say it's got 40,000 miles on it. It's had 40,000 hard miles. That being said, it's a white 996 GT2, which is a rare car.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I think that car is so far gone that like you got to put carpet in it and you got to change the wheels back and all the other stuff, or you accept it as it is. I would love if you change that GT2 and make it look as nice as this car, put it back to stock, you'd have something there. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think that it makes sense to take something like that GT2 that you're just talking about that has all those issues. I think by the time you mess with doing all that stuff, still everyone's going to know because of the Carfax that it was a race car. So why hide it? Leave it the way it is. Clean it up. And the fact that it says GT2 on it is the only thing that really anybody cares about. Those three little letters in that configuration are what's going to bring that car more than $100,000 now. Whereas back when we were talking about it just a few months ago, I think we were right that $80,000 was a struggle. But right now, yeah, that's I think that car is certainly worth more than an X50 in the same color, even as clean as this one is. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see. All right, so let's move on to the other turbo over at our good friends over at PCAR Market.
Oh yeah, they couldn't wait for this.
Good buddies. Oh my gosh, they love us.
All right. Oh, and Buddha, thank you for the solution. That was great. You got us all lathered up this morning. Out of Arlington, Virginia, the PCAR Market on the 2008, which is to say a 997 Mark I 911 turbo. This is all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, black on black with just 12,000 miles. This car is really clean and spectacular condition. And lo and behold, this car is sitting at just $84,000 with about 3 hours to go. This is a Metzger, but it's been pushed up to 3.6, 3.8. What is this size?
Wait, which?
What's the size of the motor on this? I forget now. Is it 3.6? Yeah, it is still 3.6. Yeah, it's at 8.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, still 3.6 liter turbo. In 2010, the Metzger was punched out to 3.8 in the GT3, but here it's still a 3.6. But more and more as the turbo moved on into the 997, especially the Mark IIs, fewer and fewer of these cars were manual. And so this is a bright spot because you got a double black car, super low miles, and a 6-speed manual transmission. The front brake calipers also moved up from 4-piston to 6-piston, making this car faster and safer. These things are a hoot to drive, and they are going to become very scarce very soon as we're in 997s, especially with the manual, reach stratospheric numbers. This car had an original sticker of $133,000, but AP, it's already sitting at $84,000, and it's still got 3 hours to go out of Arlington, Virginia. So what do you think about this one? Does this have a chance to break $100,000?
We haven't seen it happen yet. I think it could be. How many miles does this one have on it again? Of course, I wasn't.
12,100.
Yeah, boy, it certainly
low
does.
Miles.
I don't think
it's the right color.
But I mean, this goes right back to our previous car. I mean, which one do you buy? If that white one is already at 70 and could reach 85, this one's at 85, and still has some time to go and lower miles, and it's a 997. This has got to be. I don't think there's any universe where someone picks the 996 over this car. Is there? What do you think?
Well, it really depends. I mean, there's some people that there's very few people that would prefer it. The 997 is a superior driving car in every way, but only just. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit better handling. It brakes a little bit better, steers a little better. So, and that's Porsche's whole thing. Like each car is an evolution of the one before it. I mean, these are all basically, $6 million Volkswagen Beetles from the 1950s, they're just like they went and got Bionics and now they're the $6 million Beetle. So I don't know. It'd be hard to pick that one, but maybe the blemish on that one saves you $10,000 to $15,000. So if we create Delta, because where these cars are going to land at, then you could go right back to would you rather have this car for that money or that car for this money, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if the prices being the same, again, I don't think anybody chooses the 996. If you can save a little bit of money on the 996, okay. Yeah. But I mean, see, that's the thing. You start getting into $50,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000. You're not talking. a lot of people make decisions as to what sports car they're going to buy based on obviously how much money they have, right? And if you're shopping 996s and 997s in that $70 to $90 to $100,000 range, you're getting the better car. You're not going, oh well, the 996 is $10,000 less, so I can only afford that. No, you weren't even considering that unless it's not like you're going, oh, I'm going to get the 996 instead of a Murcielago. That's a car that's 3 times as much money. So this car, I don't think anybody. I mean, it's just the 997 and 996 turbos are too close in value at this point, and I think, of course, someone's going to choose the 997. This one, I don't think it makes $100,000. Where do you think it's going to land?
I think $95,000 for this car today, and that's because it's on PCAR market. I think if this car was on BAT, JP, it could see in low 100s, like 103 or 107 wouldn't be out of the question for this. It's the right color and it's unbelievable. It's collector car miles. I mean, 12,000 is barely broken in.
Yeah. And it's at 83 already with a good couple hours to go. And look, the 997s, water pumpers, water pumpers are right in the PCAR market wheelhouse. These 997s, they do really well. 996s don't do well on PCAR market, but for some reason 997s really do. What was your bid? 95?
Yep.
I'm going to go 1,000 over you and go 96. I think it's
96.
Right up there. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's a tough one. I think you're right there. It's just like, it's a pure guess, up or over under. It's going to be really close. I don't think it breaks 100 though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get out of the turbos and maybe look into something else. What else we got? We've got some really obscure stuff. Should we head over to Rad For Sale? We haven't seen anything on Rad For Sale in ages. I'm excited. Where's Bradley?
And JP, did you not pick this car? Did you pick this last night?
I did. I changed it up because I noticed that there was something actually closing on Rad For Sale. I'm like, oh, why isn't this on there? So let's all right,
here we
Rad
go.
For Sale. Come on.
Yeah. So JP Polnik with a submission this week because I just winded up.
Kind of took over the list.
We were playing catch up the last 2 weeks, and I thought I'll just lay him out, and I'm glad I changed it. So offered out of El Cajon, California, with 109,000 miles on the odometer, is our 1983, and let me read it. I wrote it all out. Let me read it correctly. 1983 Chevy K10 Blazer Silverado of the 3 engine options, this one is bestowed with the 6.2-liter V8 Detroit diesel. That thing is a monster. It's powered by just a 3-speed automatic, but it gets 25 miles to the gallon. Think about that. In 1983, you could have a big old suburban-looking thing that got 25 miles to the gallon. Boy, when they say they don't make them like that anymore, they ain't lying. This car is absolutely rad with the 3 different shades of blue stripes on the lower rocker, the gold centerline-esque wheels, and the blue dash, blue carpets, and the dash toupe and the push bar. I mean, this car is very, very 80s. The white, that little canopy top over the back of the truck in like a white vinyl. Everything about this screams period correct. But that motor is everything, and that's what you're buying. That Detroit diesel will outlive Styrofoam, diamonds, and cockroaches. That is as good as it gets from Michigan. And I would say that there's still some value left in this old Bertha, if anything at all. So it ends, in 7 hours, JP, which is really weird, late this afternoon, but it's sitting at $5,100 on 12 bids. That's pretty good action for Rad For Sale. And I don't think that this car's got a little life left in it still. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to you with I think this car is going to bring $9,000. Tell me what I missed and why you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. So we have seen some really big numbers on K5 Blazers recently. What is it, $50,000 and up on really clean ones?
Earlier ones.
The K5s,
early 70s.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't any difference between the older ones and the new ones.
Is that right?
Yeah. Look, this thing is not a nicer one. Let's face it. This thing is in really terrible condition. Yeah. And Lane and Bradley, what are you guys doing? Well, how did you? I mean, look, every time we have Lane and Bradley on, we talk to them about, hey, one of the things that makes Rad for Sale different is that they're being a little bit more selective, and they're making sure that people are doing good photography and representing the cars well, so it doesn't bring down the value of all the other vehicles and stuff for sale on their site. And this vehicle, I can live with its with its poor condition. I really can, if it's presented in a way like you described earlier at the top of the show. About being ironic and having fun and embracing the 80s of it all. This is nothing of the sort. These are bad iPhone photos. I mean, they're bad iPhone photos. I cannot believe our friends at Rad for Sale let this add onto their site this way. This is bad job, guys. I hate to say it. It pains me because I love you guys.
Some of the photos are really washed out with this. Like it's really immature. There's some bad.
It's just not representing this thing in any way that shows any kind of fun. I mean, even like, okay, let's say you look at the interior of the car. Man, these pictures are so bad. I'm trying to find interior pictures on this thing, and the way the user interface is laid out.
When you say Blazer and 1980s, I'm thinking Heather Locklear, Heather Thomas, right? Like, isn't that who we're looking for? Like some girl with feathered hair, blue eyeshadow, and gold hoop earrings with like a tank top and really tight high-waisted blue jeans, and then
yeah,
Jay
I mean,
Hooker
look at the seat covers here. They're the neoprene modern seat covers that you get at O'Reilly's or something. If you're gonna have this car and you're gonna sell it, you got to find some seat covers from the 80s. You got to get those really ugly kind of woven things or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you've got to embrace the silliness of it. And this isn't doing anything of the sort. There's no like locomotion sticker on it. There's nothing that says, hey, you can just rock the 80s thing. This thing just looks like an old junky piece of crap whatever Blazer that you see at any small town in America that's just being used and abused, and there's nothing special. And this thing's so far gone that I don't know how you get it to a fun place. I mean, you could.
You need a box from a pair of shoes that were Vans in the back of the car,
right?
And, and an OP sticker and a surfboard, and
right. Take the roof off and put a surfboard in the back. Absolutely, that's the spirit. That's exactly what we're saying. If you're going to sell your car on Rad for Sale, get into it, have fun with it. Have a StarTech, have a brick phone sitting on the seat. Get an old boom box that matches. Whatever. Make it look like you're going to the lake and listening to a country song where everyone loses their truck. This is but this has I'm really disappointed by this ad.
Well, and the car was shot at somebody's industrial warehouse, like right in front. Like I said, it's not even taken at the beach. Go to Santa Monica, go to the pier.
So this is a K5 Blazer. All right, who said it? The ad said it was a K10?
I know it is a K5. I wrote it incorrect.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was the ad or not. Yeah, I was like going, what is a K10? I thought for a second there I'm going, I don't know what I'm talking about, which is true. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I did kind of grow up around one of these. My dad had a K5 Blazer, and I have spent way too much time in one of these gassy smelling Look, if you ride in the back of one of these things as you're a kid, you got used to smelling exhaust and gas fumes. That was just part of your daily being, riding around in the back of one of these. And this one is really plush. This one had a back seat. Mine didn't have the one my dad had did not have a back seat, nor did it have carpet. It usually had lumber of some sort or another. So that's usually what I was sitting on. So this one's all the luxury. What did you say? Where'd you say it was going to land?
I think $9,000. Just looking at what they're doing and what's there with the Detroit diesel. But yeah, cosmetically the car's shot, and the ad is
terrible.
Unfortunate.
Dookie, where's it at right now? You said 9, but where's it at?
$5,100, and it's been there for like a couple days.
Yeah, I'm going $7,500. I don't know if it even makes that. I think this one stalls out. It just doesn't embrace the platform, and it's not special, and it's just a regular beat up K5. But you might be right though, because K5 values. I mean, we've seen crazy expensive ones, like you said, older ones. But
that Detroit diesel got to be worth something. I would think that
true.
Thing is
that's true.
That's a beast of motor. That's a 25 miles a gallon, and you can rock a K5. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Put a manual in it. Take the top off. Put a roll bar on it, and have some fun.
Yeah, pull a trailer or some quads something like that. Yeah, great hillbilly car. All right, what do we got next?
All right, JP, just a few left. Let's go over to cars and bids, where we're looking at 2004 Volkswagen Phaeton W12. So the Phaeton is D1 platform car, underpinned some other things from Bentley. and possibly, I don't know who else, but I know that this D1 platform was shared. Basically, Volkswagen Group built a brand new facility in Dresden, and this was the first car that came off the line. And Volkswagen was taking aim directly at Mercedes by building a budget luxury car. In other words, a car that had the space and the amenities of its counterparts for Stuttgart, but came in at a value and built in a state-of-the-art facility. And they failed miserably with this car. At least in North America, nobody bought these things, and they were always problematic, despite the incredible engineering that went into this essentially silent factory in the middle of downtown Dresden on the eastern side of Germany. These cars all had niggling problems, and they were super soft in the secondary market, and people made fun of them. I mean, I just remember everybody laughing at anybody that bought a Volkswagen Phaeton. They brought about 3,000 into North America while it was in production. Only about 500 of those were equipped with this incredible W12 motor that made about 420 horsepower and 410 pound-foot of torque. It's all-wheel drive, and it ran through a 5-speed automatic transmission. But these cars return to the dealership and your mechanic time and time again, and they don't hold their value pretty well. This one looks like it's in really nice condition, despite having 178,000 miles on the odometer. Offered out of Seattle, Washington, but it's sitting at a sad and lonely $8,600 on just 10 bids with about 3.5 hours to go. So, JP, any experience with the D1, the Phaeton form?
Yeah, isn't this an Audi A8? I thought this
Audi
was,
A8,
it's
and
an
then
Audi A8.
The Bentley Silver Spur was the same car too.
Yeah, and so they had all the you're right, all the touch points and stuff like that were very similar to that were shared from Bentley stuff. So that was kind of look. I represented a Volkswagen, or I've made Volkswagen dealership commercials for many years, and that was kind of our wheelhouse. And I remember when these came out and hit the sales floor, and you mentioned that it was supposed to be a value luxury car, but at $70,000, which is what they were trying to get for these stupid things back in what was it, 2003 or whatever? 2004. That was just like no one's spending that much money for the lollipop. I mean, if it has that Volkswagen logo on the front, you're not getting that kind of money. At least back then you weren't.
That's exactly right.
And it was like everyone was walking in going, "Wow, that car's great." Oh, they were thinking maybe if this is a $50,000 car, this would have rocked the world, but it was $20,000 to $30,000 too high for the market back then, and no one was going to do it.
For the brand. Yeah, these cars still undercut everything that was else in the market. It was cheaper than the Audi that it shared the platform with. Yeah, way cheaper than the Bentley, and it undercut the Mercedes. And you had the same laundry list of bells and whistles, but nobody wanted these things. And the Volkswagen dealer had no idea how to negotiate and sell these cars to the 1%, the platinum card people with their high level of expectation. Volkswagen was like, you'd walk into the dealer and they're like, "You're going to buy the car?" And they'd start laughing and giggling. They're like, "Cool, you want a bottle of water? Here, sign right here, and car's out. We'll get it out of detail for you." Like they want to just throw you the keys. And the guy that was shopping this against the Mercedes would go in and be treated like that by a Volkswagen salesman. And they turn around, laugh, and turn around and walk out the door. Like, I'm not buying that. Yeah. And so these guys struggled to sell the cars, and these cars made way too many return trips to the dealerships that were not assembled well, despite the incredible new factory in Dresden that is a marvel. These cars, the product didn't match the investment that went into them. So, well,
let's face it, though, none of the cars in that class did either. I mean, think about it. A 7 Series of that era, unbelievable garbage. An S-Class, garbage. All the whiz-bang gizmos all break in like 14 minutes after you buy the dang thing. So it's not like Volkswagen was unique in that regard. It's just that anyone dropping that kind of money for a Volkswagen feels like, okay, I better be getting the best thing ever, and all they're doing is just getting a luxury car that's going to break. Volkswagen has kind of like nowadays when they came out with the what is it, the All-Track, or what's the Atlas? Atlas. They learned their lesson from the Phaeton when they came out with the Atlas. They came out with their 3-row big huge SUV, and that thing's $50,000, whereas comparable cars are 80 or 90. So they didn't try to come out and go, "Hey, let's charge the same amount." They're like, "Nope, we know we better be cheap, otherwise nobody's going to do it." And they're knocking it out of the park.
is always on the edge of extinction in the United States market. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But let me put this in perspective, JP. In this era of like 2003 and 4, you paid $4,000 for an R32 and $80,000 for a W12 Phaeton. And an R30 today is still worth $25,000, and this car is barely going to make 10.
Yeah, you think it's going to make that?
How's that for?
Was this car? Is this actually Doug DeMuro's car? Because
I just saw that he covered it. Yeah.
So So what do you think that? Where's it going to land?
So JP, again, with 3.5 hours to go out of Seattle, Washington, with 178,000 miles, this W12 Phaeton is sitting at $8,600.
Wow.
And I last night when it was at $8,000, I put $10,000. I'm gonna leave it there. It might go to 11 or 12 because it's clean.
It's
but
not
man,
though. Are you looking
beware.
at these pictures? It's not clean at all.
I'm not looking.
Yeah, I know.
Shiny.
I know we're doing the show. It's not. Look at this, dude.
Yeah.
It is really not clean. I mean, let's try to get past the wheels
the hell
here.
with it.
But I mean, look, the clear coat is failing on the doors and the mirrors, and the trim
terrible.
is popping
I
off.
didn't really look at it.
And I mean, I don't. It's on a little screen. So, but yeah,
Good,
this thing.
good from far from good.
I am shocked it's even at 8,600. Can I make a bid that's like negative? Can we go backwards?
Yeah.
Can people go what? No. I don't think it. So you said 10, and it's at 80.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where's it at right now?
8,600. 3 hours to
10
go.
bids. This has to have actually been his car or something. That's the only reason this thing's making any money. Because this should be a $3,000 or $4,000 car. We haven't. We don't do any. Yeah. Gosh.
So where you at, buddy?
You're at what?
10.
10. Yeah, I'm going 95. I actually don't think it's going to get another bid, but I'll go 95. And the only reason it's at this has to be like his car or somebody's of note. Is this a Hoovy car or something? I don't know. This is.
Yeah, I don't know.
This thing is garbage. Well, it's from Seattle, so I probably know the owner. 178,000 miles. You're going to spend $10,000 on a 178,000 mile car. Somebody's out of their minds, man. Okay, let's get to the last car there.
All right, JP. All right, yeah. Center yourself, my friend. Practice your breathing.
I gotta find my gi. All right, let's see your last car.
Okay. What we're looking at is a car that was sold in Japan. It's right-hand drive, and then it went to Canada, and now it sits in Hawaii. And so out of Hawaii, our Bring a Trailer is offered a 1995 Toyota Land Cruiser HZJ75 pickup truck with a 5-speed manual and just 9,000 kilometers. When this car was in Japan, it was used as a fire truck. It was in a fire truck service. And then it went to Canada, and now it's Hawaii. It went to Hawaii in 2020. So out of Haiku, Hawaii, which is 6,000 miles essentially, is this 4.2-liter inline-6 diesel motor and a 5-speed manual. Really rare platform for this, really incredible condition, and it's interesting provenance. Repeat after me. I have no problem committing to right-hand drive because if you can't say those words, you have business buying this vehicle. Hard to tell if somebody would want this because they want to use it or if it's just like a nostalgia buy. It's just like really cute because it's so kit, I don't know. It's really interesting. There's a no reserve auction, and it's had some traction, JV. Somebody threw this. Check this out. Let me just read this to you, and I'll get it right over to you. So it's 24 bids. Keep that in mind. It's sitting at $36,000, but a couple days ago it was $19,000, and then this guy bid $30,001, trying to throw the knockout punch the day before the auction was to close. But a couple of people are still running it up, so it went to 32, 33, 35, and it's sitting at $36,000 with 2 hours to go on a no reserve auction. Is that correct value for a nice Land Cruiser with a diesel? That seems high to me.
Yeah. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen. Land Cruisers are one thing, right-hand drive Land Cruiser of this era, but to be a what do you call it, a quad cab with a pickup truck bed. That's a big deal. I've never seen one of these before. The former this is kind of a you're not going to see another one of these. This is pretty special, and that's really cool. And normally I would say, oh man, it has no chance coming out of Hawaii. You're going to have to ship it. And usually vehicles coming out of Hawaii have terrible rust problems. But you can see in the ad that this one was recently restored with a body off repaint and everything. So it doesn't look like it's lived in Hawaii very long. So it's probably not corroded too badly yet.
Did it say that it had a body off paint? This car just never.
Yeah, I was just looking through the pictures real quick. It looks like it had some pretty extensive. Let's see if I can find that for you real quick.
It's got 9,000 kilometers.
So 9,000 kilometers. Yeah, so here's a picture, folks. It looks like it was all taken apart and restored. So, this thing is really, really cool. And I love that they put a surfboard in the back in one of the pictures. I mean, that you've got to when you have something this weird. How many times have I said I'm obviously a broken record? It's romance. Sell the fantasy. Yeah. This vehicle is going to be kind of difficult to live with the right-hand drive. But if it's not your only car and it's something to just, this definitely belongs on Hawaii. I mean, what a great place for this vehicle. It's too bad the roof doesn't come off like on older Land Cruisers. But this definitely is a beach town. Yeah, on the desert or beach town or something like that. Yeah. I mean, formidable off-road, of course, and just the utility off the charts here. You put a rooftop tent or something like that, and you can haul maybe a quad or a dirt bike in that back or a bunch of extra camping gear. I love this thing. What a cool rig. You're not going to see one at another car show. Well, a great Radwood car, too. I mean, holy cow.
Absolutely.
You're going to win some trophies there. Where do you think it's going to land? This is pure guess. There's no way Jay,
I didn't think when that guy threw the knockout punch at $30,000, I thought he was going to win. But you're kind of helping me see with the quad cab, the truck part, right-hand drive diesel. Is this 3-liter Carrera Targa wide body of Land Cruisers? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's really unusual car. So I think that these guys are fighting over the car today. Let me look at this thing one more time.
You gotta love these pictures in Hawaii. Does that not just make you want to go? I mean, it just looks like they shot this in Jurassic Park or something like that.
Oh my God, absolutely, that would be rad. So check it out, AP. I think I'm going to say 40.
You're going to say $40,000. I'm going to bet the over on this one. I think it's just romantic enough. It's going to cost you a couple of grand to get it to the States, and then hopefully you're on the West Coast, so it's not too bad.
Mainland.
No road trip driving this home, so you can't just buy it, fly out to Hawaii, and drive it back. Hang
on a second. Okay. You get it to the port in Long Beach. And drive it home to Henderson, Nevada.
Let's go with this. Let's go Royal Tannenbaum style. You buy it, fly to Hawaii, have this thing put on a freight, on a shipping truck, a shipping barge or whatever, and then just sail across the Pacific Ocean.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, man, I'm into it. Let's do it. I've always wanted to do that.
Who made that movie? What's the director name?
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson would have the main character drive the car onto the barge and then spend the entire journey behind the steering wheel while it's, for 3 days while it's barging over to the mainland.
Yeah, writing in a journal or something like that, wearing all the 70s outfits.
And all of a sudden the door opens and the light comes in and he's blind and he just reaches down and starts the car like no big deal and just drive it off the boat.
Michael Deeb, you're a fan of the movie Darjeeling Limited, I'm sure.
Yes.
Remember the scene where they're fighting over Dad's long hood 911 and they had
my God.
And they went to the guy's shop and the old guy in the works building that they're all working on old Porsches. Remember that scene?
I definitely have to watch that again.
And he's like, we're here to pick up Harold's my dad's car, and he's like, Harold?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. Where is he? And he's like, he's dead. And he's like, oh, and he takes the keys and drives the car away. It's like, what the? And the poor old guy that works in the car, he's obviously been friends with the guy for years, and nobody bothered to tell the poor guy. I love Wes Anderson movies.
And he never got paid.
He probably didn't get paid. It's true. That's entirely true. How often does that happen, fixing Porsches? All right, guys. Well, there it is. There it was another. What? Wait, what? There's more cars?
No, what's your bid?
Oh yeah, bid. I thought I said over. What it was yours?
Yeah, I said 40. So where?
Oh yeah, I'll go 45. I think this thing goes 60. No, I think 40.
All
yeah,
right.
45 is 45. I don't know if it'll break 50, but I think in the 40s is where this thing's gonna run. I mean, this is way cooler than Defender, right? I mean,
it's absolutely.
Its only problem is the right-hand drive. If this thing were a left-hand drive, holy cow, this thing would bring mad money. But all right.
Yeah. All right, that's a show. Let's get out of here.
That's a show. We gotta go. Thanks,
I gotta watch
guys.
the draft. Go Trey Lance.
He's got to go watch sports ball. All right, guys. Well, there it is. Another episode of the Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars of the day on Cars and Bids. Bring a trailer, PCAR Market, Hemmings, and Rad for Sale. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. We've got one more show to go. We got a Friday edition coming up tomorrow at the 9 o'clock hour. So get yourself a coffee, hang out with the nerds, do something else, and watch the show. Thanks, guys. Michael Deeb, anything you want to say before we are out of here?
Another warm thank you, Buddha, for submitting the 996 Turbo. Buddha, next car you submit, give us your bid on it too.
Yeah, man. Come on.
That's it. Yeah.
What you got?
Let's go.
What you got, Buddha?
Get those words!